every entrepreneur in the world, if you have something valuable, which hopefully you do if you want people to pay you and make a living, then you're gonna have to sell it. Go with the flow. Get the peaks as high as you can and let the valleys drop out. It's a lot easier to think that I know for sure what's coming in over the course of the next year. I also brought up unemployment.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's a huge challenge. If you don't pick up your phone, if you aren't able to serve the customer fast, that 20% growth is going to evaporate. My point is the automation ramps up and down, it scales so fast. Anybody who's using AI now to start trying to automate, it's going fast enough that AI is going to probably be indistinguishable from humans at some point.
Welcome back to the Built by Me podcast. Today's guest was voted Mr. Personality in high school. After serving in missions for his church, his dreams were crushed when he missed the opportunity to become a professional mountain biker. So instead, he built and sold an internationally award-winning window cleaning and pressure washing business in just 5 years. He went on to build a system and software that sells many millions of dollars worth of home services every month. He's also become one of the most influential customer journey consultants in the home service industry, and he absolutely loves speaking to people like us. So without further ado, let's welcome Curt Kempton from ResponsiBid. Welcome back to the Built by Me podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today, Curt. I'm your host, Taina.
I'm Mo.
And let's just get straight into it. Can you introduce yourself for us?
My name is Curt Kempton. I'm a husband and a father who happens to own a software company. I actually started out in the window cleaning and pressure washing world. I'm based out of Phoenix, Arizona, and I cleaned windows. When I got out of college, I was actually going to be a professional mountain bike and road bike racer.
Oh, no way.
And we had a kid, and I'd been reading a book called Millionaire Mind. And my daughter at the time, she was just learning the days of the week, and she said, "Dad, I know today's Sunday." And I said, "Woo, that's very smart. How do you know that?" And she said, "Because on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you go away, and then on Sunday, you come home."
Oh, I would cry.
Yeah,
Right there on the
I
spot.
was like, racing's out.
That's it.
Most millionaires own a business that's not flashy, that nobody wants to do themselves. So the first thing I thought was, well, I don't do windows. People say I don't do windows. So I went and found a guy north of Phoenix, like real far away. I called him up and said, "Hey, can I come work for you for free? And you just teach me how to do your job?" So I just graduated from college. I was the outstanding graduating student of the business school's class.
Wow.
My wife thought we were going to be rich. And then I told her I'm going to start a window cleaning company. And I'm going to go work for a dude for free. And she did not divorce me, which... that was crazy. Anyway, so I went and did that and learned how to do the actual cleaning. And then I started my own gig, and I learned that business college taught me nothing. I knew nothing. I started my business, so I'm like, they're like, "Do you want to be an LLC, S Corp, C Corp?" And I'm like,
Who? No, what now?
"Can you?
What
Is
are
this
these
multiple
letters?
choice? Always choose C." Yeah. But anyway, I started figuring it out as I went.
That's amazing.
Oh,
So are
that's
you
great.
still mountain biking at all? For
Well,
fun?
I got away for a little bit, but yeah, I ride every day. My son just won the state high school championship for his grade, ninth grade. And then my little guy, my 12-year-old, he just got into it, and I think he's actually gonna be faster than the other one. So yeah, we ride. Me and my boys, we ride every morning, hour and a half, 2 hours, and yeah, man, it's good.
Do you ever watch those videos that are like, you see those guys on the edge with the mountain biking, and they're like on these like crazy cliffs and mountains? Like, have you done anything extreme like that?
So going back to my daughter, I
'Cause
knew
I love
something-
those videos, to be
Yeah,
honest with you.
something was wrong with me. I knew. So yeah, I used to ride like that. I really did, and I don't even know who that guy is anymore. The day after, so my daughter was born in the hospital, and I was in the hospital, and I can't stay in a closed room like super long.
Yeah.
So I told my wife, I'm gonna go clean the house. You like this nesting thing? You want to come home to a perfectly clean house?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do carpet cleaning. I'm gonna make the house perfectly clean.
Oh, a deep
And that-
clean.
Deep-
I thought you meant like just a regularly
Like a
clean
tidy
the
up.
counters.
No.
Yeah, he said carpet
because it
clean.
was already kind of clean.
Yeah.
So that was the only way she's gonna let me leave the hospital. So I left the
Smart.
hospital, and I happened to catch a mountain bike ride while I was out. And while I'm riding, there's this spot that's a little sketchy, like it's got like a few drops and stuff, and I've ridden it hundreds of times. I got off my bike and walked it down, and like kind of like scrambled down it. Like, "Curt, what did you just do?" The moment my daughter was born, all that stuff went away, man.
It switches like that, just
And,
like that. Yeah.
I didn't have any choice in it either.
Is it true when people say like when you have kids, you start to really understand like, oh, I don't want to leave. Like I need to be here. That like you try to be a lot more safe.
Yeah, driving home from you said you had kids.
I got 3 kids. Yeah.
The first time driving home from the hospital when they let you keep this child.
I was the 9 and the 3 and 9 and checking my blind spots and yeah. Signaling out of the parking lot.
So funny.
It's scary.
All of it. Yeah.
It's scary.
It's very scary. Yeah.
And you think everything's a missile.
Yeah.
Every car is a missile coming for you.
Yeah. You totally change as a person. Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. So what inspired you to go from, because you own ResponsiBid, right? You started ResponsiBid. What inspired you to go from that? So I want to kind of continue with your journey here, from window cleaning to developing this business.
I started the window cleaning thing, and guys, that was a lot of fun. It was a ton of fun, but it got really heavy really quick.
Yeah.
The first thing is that I had grown up. My parents never specifically taught me that salesmen were evil people, but I learned it somewhere. I'm like, salespeople are manipulators. They're gonna shake you down.
Right.
They're just jerks. And here I am. I just find myself selling jobs, and I'm like, I'll do this for you for free, or like, you're a sweet little old lady. You don't have to pay me. I don't know. I took it way too far.
Right. And then you're not going to make money.
But I was learning so much about myself. And I learned that I hate sales. But I also learned that every entrepreneur in the world, if you have something valuable, which hopefully you do if you want people to pay you and make a living, then you're going to have to sell it.
Yeah. And
ResponsiBid was sort of born out of necessity. I realized really quickly on that I needed a system to sell for me. So I did a lot of research. I mean, school did teach me one thing, how to research.
Right.
And all of the greatest teachers on sales would talk about good, better, best selling. They would talk about how you have a unique selling proposition, set emotional hooks that people know, like, and trust, and let that be what sells. So I tried to get out of the way. We ended up winning the International Window Cleaning Association, the IWCA's most professional image company. We won it 3 years in a row.
Wow.
And that was starting in my second year in business.
Wow.
I'm like, and I have nothing. I didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. I'm like, these people, if they find out who they're really giving this award to, I'm dead, But a lot of it was founded in the fact that I built up the company to be a presence. We're a customer service company who happened to clean windows.
Right.
And everything was around that. And then the way we sold, the way that we delivered, the way that we invoiced, the way that we dressed, the way our trucks looked. And all of a sudden, now that I'm getting all this notoriety in the community, people keep saying, hey, what's that on your website that you built? And it was a little quoting calculator that was a customer service element of our company. And it positioned us on good, better, best, value proposition. Price was attached to value instead of the other way around. Most people say, how much does it cost to do this? It costs $250. It costs $1,000. But instead, it's, how much does it cost to do this? Well, if you want to be crazy happy, blown away, it's this much. If you want to take a couple things out and just do this, it's that much. Right? It's the same thing. It's the same way everyone buys.
Yeah.
And we had that on our website. Once people hooked into that, I'm like, this is a full-time job. I got to get people set up on this. And ResponsiBid just
So were other businesses looking at your calculator tool and saying, how'd you do that?
I need that. And I'm starting to deliver it to them. But everything's hard-coded for them.
Yeah.
So would you say that, sorry, we're also at the huge convention. We're filming this live. So if you hear any background noise, that's what that is. Would you say that was kind of a pivotal moment in your business for when you transitioned from okay, this is picking up steam now with ResponsiBid?
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess. I mean, you're really making me think here, because at some point I went from being in love with the idea of creating a business that sold window cleaning to creating systems that expanded my reach into the world.
Yeah.
And I think that what I found is that all these companies, I can expand my reach into a whole nother company if I just help them with this. And then I can hit a whole other city by helping this company. And I think that you really, I just kind of, it snuck up on me. All of a sudden, I'm like, I can affect so many more people by expanding this system and this delivery method. And I just fell in love with that. And before I knew it, my window cleaning company became a hassle. It was like, hey, Curt, I just backed up and hit a gargoyle with the van. And it's like,
so specific.
No one called. Yeah, well, was that too specific?
No, I feel like that's common, maybe.
Yeah. We had a gargoyle. We had an engine blow. Hey, Curt, I know I told you I had the engine oil changed last month, but I passed it off because I was going to do it on the weekend and I didn't. So engine blew on the freeway.
No.
So it felt like every time 5-Star Window Care was calling me, it was such an annoyance. Like no one was calling me to say, "Hey, Curt, everything's going great.
We made so much money today."
It's like your passion shifted, right? From that business to I need to build this thing. Yeah.
I think you nailed it. Yeah.
That's interesting.
I have a quick question because we were talking about names before we started filming. How did the name ResponsiBid come about?
Oh no! Don't you ever let me name anything for you. 5-Star Window Care was my first and last great business name I ever came up with. Symphasize, ResponsiBid. I've had a couple other ventures. So I come up with a name that I think sounds good. Quick quote. And the URL is not available. So quicker quote. Quick dash quote. Anyway, you find something that works, and then I run it past my wife. My wife's like, eh. And then finally, I think what would happen is it would get worse and worse and worse. And finally, Rachel would be like, yes, stop asking me about names. I love that name. So
that's the one.
Harmonize your life. Symphasize, the company that makes ResponsiBid.
Right.
And anyway, let's just put it this way. ResponsiBid kind of came out of probably wearing my wife down to nothing. And now I've made a decision that I have to keep for the rest of my life. So here we are.
That's amazing. So I want to really dive into seasonal businesses, right? Like your business was a seasonal business, and I want to kind of shift our focus a little bit. But going back and looking back on your business, like what advice would you give to someone that's actually starting their first seasonal business today?
Well, it's tough advice. It's the kind of advice that probably nobody wants to hear. And that is embrace the seasonality. You know, no business owner wants to be like planning their life around feast and famine.
Yeah.
And so I know for me, when I had my cleaning company, now I was in Phoenix, Arizona, and my seasonality is different. Christmas time, winter time, that's great. As soon as the holidays are over, no one's got any money and no one's got entertainment. So we die for the month of January, but not for the same reasons of everyone else.
Yeah.
But February, we're back. And then we have what's called monsoon season. And it's basically where we get mud storms. They call them haboobs now, but they used to call them dust storms.
Yeah.
I think dust storm is probably just fine. But imagine a wall of dust just coming into the town. And about halfway.
And this is where, just for our listeners, where
Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah.
You can see the cloud. It's a big, long roll, and you can see it coming. And you usually get about a half-hour warning. Like if you go out and you see it for about half hour, maybe 15 minutes. It's coming towards you, and then you're in it.
You can see it physically before it comes?
It's like a big barrel, like rolling towards you.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Yeah. And then the rain starts. But it's not rain. It's spitter spatter. So your car goes from being perfectly clean to perfectly coated in mud.
So how often does this happen?
Oh, monsoon season, that'll happen. Well, first of all, it's very unpredictable.
Yeah.
But every monsoon, you'll get maybe like 15 or so of those.
Yeah. So enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So people aren't looking to like clean stuff during monsoon season.
Right. It's just going to get dirty.
Yeah. So we invented monsoon-proof windows. So we said, look, you get your windows cleaned anytime in these 3 months. And at October 1st, you can call us. We'll come back and touch up anything that hit for free.
That's so smart to pivot around your environment, because like that wouldn't make sense in like, you know, Toronto, Canada, where I'm from. Like it wouldn't make sense. But where you are, like that was probably like such a hit where people are like, oh, like this is something that I need.
Yeah. And it did work. It really did. The problem is that it worked to weird degrees. So we would still have to struggle and market like crazy in a time where we weren't necessarily being pulled. And I had to keep people on staff. And then come October 1st, when people really want their windows clean, guess what else I'm doing? Touching up a boatload of windows. So then we tried trash can cleaning. Guys, it's like 1,000,000 degrees outside. I know you guys talk Celsius, but like 120 is probably is that like
it's hot.
It's like 40
50?
degrees, 30, 40 degrees, maybe more.
Yeah, Celsius. It's hot as heck. Now it's dry, but when you open your trash can and you had something rotting in there, in that heat, it's nasty. So I thought, here we go. We got pressure washers. We'll just do a trash can cleaning service. But we didn't have like the special trash can cleaning that you see now. We just have a wand and try to get some route density. But no one, it was weird. People are like, I don't even know what that is. I'm not sure.
I had never heard of it. Yeah.
And we have to come on trash day, so we have to come on the day that it's empty.
Right.
So we kept trying all sorts of things. But I look at the people who are succeeding now, and at ResponsiBid, I get a very unique look into people's businesses who are succeeding, kicking butt. And you know what it is? It's people who put people on unemployment for 3 months out of the year, and they know it's coming, and then they train people, and they don't have a ton of work, but they get everyone fully trained so they can hit the ground running on March 3rd or whatever.
I love that.
And if you plan for it and you budget for it, the guys who are kicking butt, they are not fighting. They're not fighting the season, Mother Nature, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that if I could go back in time and whisper in my, 21-year-old ear, I think I would say, hey, Curt, embrace the suck.
Yeah.
And just go with the flow. Get the peaks as high as you can and let the valleys drop out. And it's not fun advice, but it does. I think it does work better.
I think a lot of people do. Yeah, a lot of people take the time when it's the valleys to train, to come up with new systems, to refocus. Because a lot of times if you're just go all the time, then it's so hard to just take a step back. And then maybe that's when you take your vacation. That's when you take a step back, take that break, and then refocus your business. So I really like that.
Yeah.
So you said you tried a bunch of different things to try to keep cash flow going during these low seasons. How can other home service businesses keep cash flow steady during these off-peak seasons?
Yeah, I think that the people I'm watching and are succeeding the best right now, what they do is there's actually an app out there called YNAB. You Need a Budget, YNAB.com. Mm-hmm. It is a phenomenal tool for taking your expenses that span the whole year, and you can pay yourself in each of those months and pay it. You basically spend your money twice.
Yeah.
Right? So when your money comes in, you first spend it the way you want it to be spent, and then when real life happens, you pull it out of the place that makes most sense. And it helps you to keep it balanced. Now, I know this isn't cash flow, and if an accountant is listening right now, they're like, Curt's not talking about cash flow. He's not talking about cash flow. He's talking about budgeting. And I get it, accountants. But what I'm saying is, if you can get that spike up really high and fund those envelopes, those categories for each month into the future, you can go on that vacation knowing I've already got mortgages paid or rent paid or the 2 or 3 employees you got to keep on throughout the whole, valley season. You can go on vacation and know there's not enough. What I always did was I spent so much time fighting. I never went on vacation because I was trying to keep cash coming in all the time. What I'm saying is sock it away, understand your seasons and your cycles, and actually, when your car breaks down, I think everyone can relate to this. You've had your car break down, you weren't really ready for it.
Yeah.
You had to come out of pocket, and it sucked. And you have all the uncertainty of, do you have another big expense right around the corner?
Yeah.
What I advocate for is, your car will break down.
That's right.
It will.
Yeah.
And if you have a fleet of trucks, you guarantee every month you're going to have one. So you pay for the repairs at whatever increments make the most sense to yourself into this category. And now, and I'm using a car as an example because vacations are more fun, but it's sort of like a guilty pleasure. These cars, they rip that out of your bank account. You have to do it. What I'm saying is, when my car breaks down, I actually am like, yeah, whatever, it's cool. Because I paid for the repair a long time ago, and I know that I'm not taking my mortgage. I know I'm not taking an insurance payment. I know I'm not taking payroll money. And I think that is the when I go on vacation, I'm actually having fun. Previously, I'd be like, did I just spend money that I need for something else? And cash flow, if you get obsessed about what's coming in this month, but not obsessing over like properly allocating that money, you actually live in this sort of state of like, I hope enough money comes in tomorrow, where it's a lot easier to think that I know for sure what's coming in over the course of the next year or better, right? Because I'm going to grow this year, so I can at least count on what I got last year, and I can allocate the money that way.
Yeah, you're being proactive instead of being reactive.
Yes. And nothing can hurt you. It sounds crazy. You're bulletproof when you know that an expense is coming and you've already got the money for it.
That's like, oh, that's such a good feeling when you don't when you're like, oh, I already budgeted for this. Like, I already saw this coming instead of like, I don't know where I'm going to pull this from.
Yeah.
Can I just say a word to the people who are listening right now about budgeting? Oh my gosh, Curt's the most boring interview in the whole world. He's talking about budgeting. Oh my gosh, budgeting is so gross. I hate it so much. Look, I'm with you. The people who are saying that in their heads right now, I used to be there. The reason I brought up YNAB is because it's easy and everyone likes to spend money. YNAB gets you to spend it twice. I'm telling you guys, if you're like, let's skip past this part of the podcast. I'm telling you, number one, you're losing a huge opportunity for like that bulletproof feeling we were talking about. But you're also losing the opportunity to spend your money twice, which is actually, I think it's fun. And my wife, who hates budgeting, she also thinks it's fun. I think there's a chance that we found something here.
Yeah.
Potentially, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I like how you talked about two things, right? You talked about embracing seasonality, and then you talked about budgeting, right? What would you say are some of the other big challenges that face seasonal businesses?
Well, I also brought up unemployment.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's a huge challenge. But once you understand how it works, it's just filing paperwork and it's taking care of people, which actually is really fun. Taking care of people is fun. When you hire someone and say, hey, look, I'm going to hire you. You're going to go on unemployment for 2 months or 3 months. And they're like, wow, you are a weird boss. Look, you're going to get paid to not work.
Yeah.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And you will have a guaranteed job. Assuming that you're good and you train up well, or you've been with me for a few years, you already know the drill. But you got a guaranteed job and a guaranteed vacation. And you're going to get paid to vacation.
So it's like setting that expectation up front during the hiring process.
Yeah.
You're saying.
And doing the paperwork for the people and telling them, I know my business well enough to know what's going to happen next. That inspires confidence. And it makes predictability. So I think that seasonal businesses, they really are scary. They really are. But when you come at them from a place of knowledge and strength, it actually, look, the whole time I owned a window cleaning company, I spent the whole time fighting Mother Nature. No vacations, 0 vacations for 6 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, I was a young, graduated college student. I had a lot of energy back in those days. I would have punched Mother Nature in the face if she wanted me to, like if she showed her face to me. But you only have so much strength for so much time. And that's why I kind of admire the people who are like doing what I say about embracing it. So unemployment is about looking someone in the eyes and saying, I'm going to give you the gift of a vacation. And they're like, what? But don't you dare take a vacation while we're busy, because we're going to be stacking cash. We're going to stack cash. And that's another thing. People are like, I'm afraid my employees will see how much money I'm making. But if you start the expectation by saying, you're going to see people write very large checks for you doing work. They're writing a check for you today, and they're writing a check for you to take a vacation. I will give you that money. You'll get all of it that is coming to you. But don't let those big numbers make you think that you need to go jump out and start your own cleaning company, because I have organized a system for you.
I want to ask one more question on that. What about when it comes to hiring talent? Like finding talent that is okay knowing that they're going to be unemployed for 2 months in the year?
I don't know. There's been some generational shifts lately.
There has been, exactly.
I mean, I feel like I should be asking you guys this question because you guys are so young and very hip, by the way.
Thanks.
I wish I was as hip as you guys. Maybe we could do fashion podcast later on.
Yeah, but you're wearing the ResponsiBid socks.
Yeah,
And
well,
I'm like, look at
Nice.
with my Amazon shoes.
Yeah. I love it.
Okay, so here's the thing. I would love to ask you guys the question. When you take a job, I understand that this generation is way more in it for the meaning than the money. At least that's what the studies are saying. But they also are looking for work-life balance. Maybe you guys could kind of tell me, what do you guys look for in a job when it comes to that?
I can tell you from what we've experienced from all the other interviews we've interviewed, because we span across different service-based businesses, right? Like Build by Me podcast is not necessarily focused on like just home services. It's focused on all service-based businesses. And what we've been seeing a lot, talking to a lot of different like entrepreneurs and business owners, whether it's restaurant or retail or you know, everyone's having a problem when it comes to staffing. It's like no one wants to work these jobs anymore, right? And it's like you ask even like some of the busiest restaurants, I'm like, what's your number one concern? Outside of growing their business, it's finding people to do the work. And that's why I'm wondering, like, are you finding that from a seasonal perspective? Is it even harder?
Well, to my
from
answer
a work-life
to that,
balance, I think you're right. Like, I think people definitely want work-life balance.
I think that the reason that a restaurant sees that people don't want to work is because people want to eat every single day.
Yeah.
And these people are going like, I'm burning my life up in making food for people to eat, or serving them, or wiping off their tables, or whatever it is. And I think that balance is very appreciated. And that meaning of saying, my life isn't wiping tables down. I wipe tables down so I can live life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think the shift right now is exactly that, where it's like their job is just the job, and I want to clock out and I want to go home and do the things that I want to do. If I can't do that, I want my job to be something fun or something that it allows me to have fun while I'm doing it, because other than that, I want the work-life balance because I want to be able to live my life. I think a lot of people are starting to see that, like, I don't want to wake up and all of a sudden I'm like 70 and I didn't get to live life. Now I can retire and live life. But
I think also like the COVID had that ripple effect, right? Like when everything shut down and we went home and remote work became a real thing, people had this almost like this wake up call. They're like, there's more than life than just cutting grass or wiping tables or washing windows, whatever it is, right? So it's like I think the challenge is that, but I'm wondering if you have any advice on how to overcome that when it comes to employees.
Well,
right?
I actually think that what I'm suggesting about building in a long-term vacation within the cycle of your work, having something to look forward to, knowing that I'm saving up my money to go to Europe, or I'm saving up my money to go on a backpacking trip and climb a mountain that I've wanted to always climb, or to visit some family that's far away, and guilt-free knowing it's coming, that I can do it, and that I'm not letting down my boss. I'm not cutting grass. I think there's a lot in that. I also think that they can form a relationship with their boss that says, you're going to have me back and let me go on hiatus. So, and you thought enough about me, like, I'm not thinking about you, Mother Nature is, but I mean, but you thought about enough about me to plan so that you're hiring me based on not just my compensation package while I'm on the clock, but compensating me while I'm off the clock.
Yeah.
That has some magnetism to it.
It does.
And I think it speaks to the generation that's coming up. Like if I was talking to my grandparents, they'd be like, why would you ever go to another company? You pledge your heart and soul and you're loyal to that company, and then they're going to take care of you forever with a pension. Well, that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So I think what we're talking about here, it speaks a lot more to that mindset of, I want to have fun, but it's not going to be fun if I do it every single day.
Yeah.
But if I can do it 6 months, have a 2-month hiatus, do it another 4 months, have another month hiatus, because that's the seasonality, right?
Yeah. I think we're also seeing in home services specifically, there's this there was a generational gap in between. There's the people who are starting to retire now, and then there's people who are a lot of young people are getting into the space now. They're like, okay, this is making a lot of money. There's a gap in the market because people are going to be retiring, and we can basically apprentice and then take over these companies that are happening. So I feel like a lot of young people are trying to get into the home service space, but also understand the seasonality part of it. They're like, I'm going to work really hard for 5 months, take a 1 month break, and then work really hard again for another 5 months. And then it's like, they understand that there's going to be ups and downs, and they plan for it because they actually like that. A lot of my friends are in the trades, work, 2 weeks on, 1 week off, 2 weeks on, 1 week off. And it's like, they just work really hard, and then all of a sudden they just go hard for a whole week. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I think you're still gonna find it's that mindset shift, right? That's happening. Is people need to feel that where I'm working, I can grow. with my employer, it's not just like they're treating me like an employee. You know what I mean? Like I have a growth path. I can enjoy my life at the same time, and it's balanced. I don't know. It's interesting though, like the shift that you're seeing. People want to, like you're right. Like people want to feel like I'm not just like clocking in, clocking out.
Yeah.
They don't care about me. At the end of the day, I'm easily replaceable. Like things like that. They want to feel like they're actually getting value out of the job. They're learning. They're growing. Yeah.
I wanted to shift over and talk about the business side of things. What do you do to prepare for the busy season so that you're not overwhelmed when it comes?
Oh gosh. Yeah. That. Now it depends on the biz, but there is so much that goes into that. I mean, we've talked about staff, so let's just kind of start there. You don't want to send a bunch of incompetent people out into the field. It's not good for business. It's not good for insurance. It's not good for callbacks. So many people, that's the biggest mistake people make, is they hire right when the demand is needed and the training hasn't taken place. Now, if you have people on unemployment who are already trained, you got a built-in mentorship. You got built-in people who already know what's going on, who know your business systems and what's required to safely do the work and effectively do the work.
Yeah.
Those are two very different and both important things. So keeping people on from season to season, if you're trying to grow, is key. You have to be able to build, and that's where we talk about these compensation plans and the vacation package plans and stuff like that, unemployment. Having that all under wraps, that's a huge preparation. We talked about budgeting, making sure that you've got the money to make it through the slow season so that you're not watching the clock and like praying for a month to just slip by.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't work that way. So those two things are critical. But the next things are marketing. I just told you I was fighting Mother Nature. I would try to send out mailers during get your monsoon-proof clean windows and people are like, yeah, cool. And we did get people who bid on it, but I would have to work 4 times harder to get people who weren't naturally inclined. But if I've got my designs ready a month in advance, my postcards for EDDM or my laser-targeted customer mailings, emails, phone calls, ringless voicemails, all the things that you got to get prepped for your current customers, your 10 arounds for all your customers, for all their neighbors.
Yeah.
All that stuff gets orchestrated 2 months for art, 1 month for logistics, and then about 2 or 3 weeks for delivery. Once you've got that all planned out and you're spending a good amount of your winter getting this stuff planned. And I say winter, it could be the end of your summer. I mean, fall is another big one, at least in the industries we serve. When that hits at the right time, now you've got that whole Mother Nature force. You're riding on a surfboard on it. You're not trying to like Thor hammer through it, right?
Yeah.
And you can really spike things up. But what does that mean? Well, that means that when the phones start ringing, what's your plan? Okay, you took advantage of the natural demand. You've instead of pull marketing, trying to pull people over the wall, you're just now pushing people over the wall. But who's there to catch them? So we don't want to do any pull marketing if we can help it. We just want to push people over the wall, push them into our business. If you've got the operational people in place to do the work, that's great. But you're probably going to grow because you're going to build your business like an onion. So you got layer from year 1, layer from year 2. You're going to have attrition through all that, but you're still going to get to keep those layers for many years into the future, and that's where growth lies. So if we assume that we're going to grow 20%, which is a fairly safe thing to assume if you're working the plan, then you're going to need 20% more people to do the work, but you're also going to have 20% more call volume or email response volume, website traffic. All those things need to be planned for in advance as well.
Yeah.
Now, if your admins are on leave and you're bringing them back, cool. You have mentorship built in there as well. But there's all these new, like Jill's Office is someone we work with a lot, if you've ever heard of them. Jill's Office is more than a phone answering service. They actually give quotes, they schedule, they get into your CRM and do stuff for you. We really recommend them a lot. And now with AI, they're actually bringing AI in to actually handle certain kinds of phone calls or route the phone calls. Now you can take someone who needs to talk to somebody individually and have overflow going into a call center having overflow being answered by AI and routed to either the call center or to you. These are key components to make sure that the people who are working or do the most important things, you're saving a ton of money because you're not paying that full-on overhead, and your customers are getting served. Today's customers, I mean, and you guys know, you grew up in the generation. You guys have iPads in your hands as kids, like 10 years old?
I'm not that young, man. I don't know. Just letting you know, I'm not that young.
I did not.
I look young. I'm not that young.
So yeah, I feel like the people today demand what they want right now, and even my generation does now. We've changed. But when I was a kid, if you send something off in a catalog, you'd forget about it by the time it showed up. Forever. And it's not that we were necessarily patient. We didn't have any option. Now it's like Amazon 2-day. Ugh. 2-day Prime.
2 hours.
Yeah. Now it's like
no, we're spoiled because I did look at something and it was like a week, and I was like, oh, that's a really long time. I
DoorDashed some food, and I'm like, some dude is willing to get in his car and drive down and get this food for me. This morning, I did not want to get out of bed. I just laid in bed. Some other dude delivered my food to me at the hotel.
It's amazing.
Anyway, all I'm saying is that if you don't pick up your phone, if you aren't able to serve the customer fast, that 20% growth is going to evaporate. Your people, even your existing customers who know, like, and trust you, they know, like, and trust fast.
Yeah.
And if you, like, in service providers, it's so funny, we call it the home service industry. We're like least known for service. People know that they're going to have to call 10 people to get one person to return their call.
That's a good point. That's a very good point, actually.
So when the spike is coming, and I know that it feels like I'm not answering your question was, how are you going to handle that surge that's coming? The way you handle it is don't let stuff fall through the cracks. Be ready. Have your baseball mitt open when the ball is being pitched. Be ready. And when you are, you can catch all that stuff that's coming. And that's where people are seeing growth from. Yeah, last year this time we were doing 40,000 a month. This year at this time we're doing 120,000 a month. That should blow your business up. Well, if you plan for it, it doesn't.
So I want to wrap, but I want to ask you, like, because you're talking a lot about like systems and automation, and those can definitely play a part, right? Like, so what part do you think they play in those highs and lows of the seasonal business?
Well, the cool thing about automation is it doesn't punch in and punch out. It's not got that hourly. And anyone who's paid a paycheck before, and I love people. I really do. But people cost hourly money.
Yeah.
They cost taxes and insurance matching money, employer taxes. They cost workers' comp money. Someone's like, oh my gosh, I would never work for less than $20 an hour. An employer hears that you wouldn't work for less than $40 an hour. We have to pay for your 401k matching and all the things that go with it. Automation, you pay a straight up money for it. It's no hidden charges. Yeah. And then if you don't use it, you still pay it. But if you do use it, you don't have to pay overages. And now I know there's some that charge for extra feature usage. But my point is that automation ramps up and down. It scales so fast.
Yeah.
The other thing it is that you download your brain into it one time and it knows it. Now, if you teach it the wrong thing, it'll do the wrong thing every time. And that's the downside of automation. But now even with AI, learning from mistakes, you almost just have to kind of get close. The point is that if you have a surge coming for you, do I need to hurry and call people in, or does my automation just automatically ramp up?
Right.
And the answer is it's going to be a little of both. But again, with the generation we talked about previously that are trying to clock out and be off, having people on call, it just doesn't work. But automation loves it. So, ResponsiBid, the tool that we make, it can be on your website taking orders all night long. And that's cool. But not everybody wants to take an order online. Some people want to, as they say, shake hands and kiss babies, right?
Yeah.
So we need to have people. We need to have a channel for that. And now you can automate that. And you can automate it with humans at like places like Jill's office. You can also automate it with AI now. And it will sound human. I don't recommend trying to pass AI off as human.
Yeah.
That's going to be actually I'm talking to an AI lawyer now. It's actually going to be illegal coming up soon. But people are trying right now. have you guys heard the AI phone calls yet? Have you guys heard what it's like?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
They do this thing. It's so obvious it's AI once you know it. Like, oh, thanks for calling. Yeah, I think they don't say or ah. So what they do is they always go, yeah, I think I could do that.
Yeah,
And it's like,
there's no umra.
yeah, so it's like perfectly dictioned words, and yeah, let me think about that. It's the way that it draws out the word so that it doesn't have ums or ahs.
Are you testing different call centers?
Yeah, I have been.
This is AI, I know it is.
And so what's happening is it's still very obvious, but what happens is that people will do business with people they know, like, and trust, and we know we're moving into the digital age. I would say anybody who's using AI now to start trying to automate, it's going fast enough that AI is going to probably be indistinguishable from humans at some point. It will also probably be illegal to pass off AI as a human. So go ahead now and just get ahead of that and let your people know, to serve you fastest, we're using an AI bot. Or we're using an AI. You'll be interacting with AI until further. It's the same thing that happened with the menu. So, if you'd like to sell some customer service, please push 1. Please push 2. People know this is the way.
Yeah.
But if I tried to pass off that menu as if it was a human, like today, everyone, like, that's so stupid. Well, we need to be careful with what we do. But scaling, the reason people with smartphones are able to do the work they do at the prices they do it and scale from a small business to a big business, it started with a smartphone, having your calendar on your phone, having the ability to answer a phone while you're on a ladder. That age happened. Now a new age has begun. And it's going to be expected that the productivity per human capita in this world is, and you can love it or you can hate it. It doesn't matter. It's the reality is that you have to be able to leverage these tools and leverage them in a legitimate way.
That's fair. That's totally fair. This was great. This was a great conversation.
Yeah. Is there anything else that any other advice you want to give people for seasonal businesses or automation before we wrap up?
I've been having a lot of conversations at my booth with people, and there's been a really common trend right now that just, maybe it's because of the stage of life I'm in and I'm just seeing it more, but the change that's happening so fast right now, a lot of people are alarmed by it. And actually, I think a lot of people are maybe even saddened and wanting to fight it. We've talked a lot about fighting Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about tech. Mental health and the things that we're struggling with now. We didn't struggle. Well, we did struggle back in my day, but in my early days, but we didn't have a name for it. And I think we do struggle more now. And we're building this world that we think is more convenient and it's faster and it's better. But I think it's probably just more appropriate to call it different. Yeah. And this wave that's coming, it's going to have its own set of challenges. Is AI going to take over the world and we're all going to burn? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I don't necessarily, but it is what it is. And we need to be safe and careful and all that I talked about earlier. But I guess what I'm saying is that I spent a lot of my early days of entrepreneurship wishing things were easier.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They didn't get easier. Even with technology, it didn't get easier. I had moments of things that were like, wow, that was cool. I built the mousetrap and it worked, and now it's easier. But if you look at it in the grand scope of things, I've struggled with mental health at this point in my life. I've never struggled with depression. I've dealt with a bout of depression at this point, and my heart goes out to people who struggle with it on a daily. I've dealt with anxiety. I've never dealt with anxiety before in my whole life. And then I dealt with I don't want to people who really deal with anxiety. I don't want to try to make myself sound like something that I'm not. But what I want you guys to know is that the new norm is here. Fighting it is probably not going to be your best route, but being responsible about it and not wishing it was easier, but wishing you were better, that is where the success is at. And that is where I have personally experienced joy, is saying, it's not easier, but my gosh, am I stronger? Yeah. My gosh, am I more capable? My gosh, am I mentoring more people? My gosh, my reach into this world is getting so much bigger.
Yeah.
Those things they will help to combat those really uneasy feelings that come with uncertainty. So find some certainty in this world of uncertainty. That would be my advice.
That's really good. That's really, really cool.
Curt, this was great. Thank you so much for being on. Before we leave, where can people find you? Where can people find ResponsiBid?
Yeah, responsibid.com. There's a chat bubble. If you chat in there, I don't see every single message, but every message that comes in, if you want to reach me, it's so easy. It'll come to me. They'll route it to me, and I'm always happy to talk shop with anybody that has questions.
Love it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Thanks for having me.
That wraps up this week's episode of the Built by Me podcast.
As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, and follow us on Instagram at Built by Me Podcast.
Until next time.
Keep building.